All right, so get this. Imagine building a whole software project with just like one sentence.
Yeah, that's the idea behind MetaGPT, this AI system that could like totally change how we think about software development.
So it's like instead of coding, you just tell it what you want.
Yeah, it's more than just automating code, it's like replicating a whole software company.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Back up a sec. A whole company.
Well, think of it this way. You got your product managers, your architects, engineers, but they're all AI agents.
No, instead of hiring a human team, you're like hiring an AI company.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And all based on what you tell it to build.
Okay, now that is mind-blowing, but
Yeah.
is it even possible? Like, what kind of projects can it actually handle?
So one example, they created a 2048 game, you know, that puzzle game.
Oh, yeah, super addictive, but like, MetaGPT actually built the whole thing.
Yep, from the prompt, create a 2048 game, it built a full project repository.
Hold on, we're talking playable game, the
Ah.
logic, the graphics, everything.
Yep, user stories, requirements, data structures, APIs, even documentation, all of it.
That's insane. 2048 is pretty complex. It's not just some basic script.
Right, that's why it's such a good example. It shows what MetaGPT can do.
Okay, I am officially intrigued. But how does it even work? Creating software is hard for humans.
The key is something called Standard Operating Procedures, or SOPs.
Okay, and what do they have to do with AI?
MetaGPT basically uses these SOPs, best practices from software development, and applies them to AI agents.
So it's like a blueprint guiding every step. So it's not some AI magic box just spitting out code.
Exactly. There's a structured, repeatable process.
Gotcha. Makes sense. But what about the actual coding? What's the tech behind it?
They use large language models, or LLMs, like GPT-4.
I've heard of those, but how do they work with the SOPs?
These models are trained on tons of data, so they can understand and generate text, even code. Think of them as the engines driving the whole system.
So super smart LLMs working with structured SOPs. That's pretty powerful. But let's zoom out a bit. What are the real-world implications? Like, who could actually use this and how?
Well, that's what's so cool. The applications could be all over the place. Think about startups. They need to prototype ideas fast.
Yeah, that's a huge pressure point for them.
MetaGPT could help them go from idea to a working product super quickly.
Right, like a minimum viable product, or MVP, in way less time.
That could be a game changer. It gives them a huge advantage.
For sure. But what about big companies? Could they use this too?
Absolutely. Think about all the internal tools they use. MetaGPT could build those, freeing up their developers.
Yeah, I can see that. What about like automating documentation? That's always a pain.
Exactly. MetaGPT could handle that too. Developers could focus on the more complex stuff.
Okay, so instead of replacing developers, it's more like making them way more efficient.
Yeah.
But beyond companies, is this useful anywhere else?
Definitely. Think about research. Researchers could describe their data analysis to MetaGPT.
Wait, so it's not just apps, it can handle data analysis too.
Yep. There's even a specialized agent called a data interpreter. It can analyze stuff like the iris data set, you know, that classic machine learning data set.
Yeah, I've heard of that. And it can actually make sense of the data.
More than that, it can generate plots and visualizations, all based on what you tell it.
Wow, so MetaGPT could be huge for data science, not just software. This is sounding more and more impressive. But how do people actually start using it?
There are a couple of ways. If you're comfortable with command line interfaces, there's a CLI, super easy for simple projects.
Just type in what you want and boom, MetaGPT takes over.
Exactly. But for more complex projects, or if you like coding, there's also a Python library.
Ah, so you can get more granular control that way.
Yep, and there's documentation for both methods, so it's pretty straightforward to get started.
So anyone can use it, whether you're a coding pro or just starting out. But let's look ahead now. What impact could MetaGPT and things like it have on the future of software development?
That's the million-dollar question, right? Could this make software development accessible to anyone, even non-programmers?
That would be huge. Like democratizing software creation, anyone could build their dream app.
All right. Or will it completely change what it means to be a software engineer?
These are some seriously thought-provoking questions.
Mm.
We're definitely seeing the start of something big here.
It's a super exciting time to be watching this all unfold.
Totally agree. But before we get too carried away dreaming up our own AI-powered software empires, I want to dive a little deeper into how MetaGPT actually works. You mentioned this software company as a multi-agent system thing. Can you break that down for us?
Definitely. That's a key concept here, so let's unpack that a bit more.
All right, so how does this multi-agent system actually work in practice?
Okay, so let's say you give MetaGPT the prompt, create a language learning app.
Something like Duolingo, Okay, so what happens then?
First, the product manager agent jumps in.
There's an AI product manager. What does it do?
It analyzes your prompt, figures out what you need, and starts outlining user stories.
So it's like it's trying to understand the user, their goals, their pain points.
Exactly. It's building that user-centric vision for the app.
Okay, that makes sense. So what's next?
Then, the architect agent takes over.
Like a software architect. I'm seeing the company analogy here.
You got it. Based on what the product manager figured out, the architect designs the structure of the app.
So it's choosing the right technologies, laying out the data models, like a blueprint for the whole thing.
Perfect analogy.
This is so cool. But do they, like, talk to each other? These agents, I mean.
Oh, yeah, totally. MetaGPT has this whole communication system so the agents can talk throughout the process.
So they're constantly sharing progress, asking questions, working together like a real team?
Exactly. And once the architect is done with the high-level design, the engineering agents come in.
So now we're getting to the actual coding.
Yep. And these agents have different specialties like front-end, back-end, database stuff, you name it.
So it's a whole team of AI engineers, each one an expert in their area.
Exactly. And as they're building, the testing agents are constantly checking their work.
Wait, they're AI testers too? That's so smart.
It's like having a dedicated QA team, making sure everything works right and the code is good quality.
So it's not just building fast, it's building well.
Exactly. And then once the app's built, the documentation agent takes over.
Of course. Got to have documentation. Makes everything easier for everyone.
Yep. And it's all automated. So you see, it really is like a whole software company all inside the AI.
This is seriously mind-blowing. It's like a glimpse into the future of software development.
Definitely. It shows the power of combining AI with smart processes.
It's amazing, right? But let's move on from just the theory. How could companies actually use this today?
Yeah. What are some real-world examples beyond what we've already talked about?
Okay, let's take e-commerce. Imagine a company wants to make the shopping experience personalized for everyone.
Yeah. So like recommending products you might like based on what you've looked at before. Exactly. But to do that, they usually need developers to build these complex algorithms.
Right. That can take a lot of time and money.
Exactly. But with MetaGPT, they could just give it a simple prompt, something like create a recommendation engine that suggests products based on browsing history and purchases.
So instead of all that coding, they just tell MetaGPT what they want in plain English.
That's the idea. MetaGPT's agents would then design, build, and test that recommendation engine, all tailored to the company.
Wow, that could be huge for e-commerce, making the whole shopping experience way more personalized and engaging.
It really could. And it's not just about e-commerce. It's about giving more businesses access to this kind of AI.
Yeah, leveling the playing field, so to speak. What about other industries?
Okay, think about healthcare. Hospitals have tons of data, but making sense of it all is tough.
Right. It's one thing to collect data, but you need to actually use it to, help patients.
Exactly. Now imagine a hospital administrator tells MetaGPT, create a system that analyzes patient records to find early warning signs of sepsis.
Sepsis. That's a serious condition. Early detection is so important.
Absolutely. MetaGPT could analyze all those records, find patterns, and develop an algorithm to flag patients at risk.
That's like an AI doctor, constantly working to catch things early and improve patient care. What other examples can you think of?
Let's jump to finance. Risk management is a big deal for financial institutions, but it usually involves these super complicated models.
And a lot of manual analysis, right? It's a high-pressure area. Even small mistakes can be costly.
No kidding. So imagine a bank executive says to MetaGPT, create a system that analyzes market data and finds potential risks in our loan portfolio.
So instead of relying only on human analysts, they could use MetaGPT to process all that data and find those hidden risks.
Exactly. It could constantly watch the markets, analyze loans, and alert risk managers before things get out of hand.
That could lead to much better decisions and a stronger risk management system overall.
For sure. And these are just a few examples. The potential for MetaGPT is huge. Any industry that uses data or complex processes could benefit.
It's really exciting to think about all the possibilities. But let's get back to how it's actually implemented.
Right, we touched on this before, but let's dive a little deeper.
So we talked about the command line interface and the Python library. What else is there?
Well, there's another way that could be really powerful, especially for organizations that want to integrate MetaGPT with what they already have.
You're talking about APIs, right?
You got it.
So,
MetaGPT has an API that lets developers connect its capabilities directly to their own applications.
so instead of using MetaGPT separately, they can make it part of their own systems and customize it.
Exactly. That kind of flexibility is key for a lot of companies.
It sounds like there's a solution for everyone, whether you're a coding whiz, prefer a simple interface, or need deep integration. But what about the future? Where do you see this going?
That's a great question. One thing that's really exciting is the idea of even more specialized AI agents.
So like right now, MetaGPT has agents for the core functions of a software company, but you're thinking even more specific.
Right. Imagine agents that are experts in healthcare, finance, or education.
So instead of a general engineer agent, you could have one that's specifically trained to build, say, medical apps.
Exactly. They would have a deeper understanding of their area and could build even more advanced and tailored solutions.
Wow, that's really interesting. It's like having a team of AI specialists at your fingertips.
That's the goal. And as AI keeps getting better, I think that's definitely possible. We could see MetaGPT and similar systems become even more powerful and versatile.
It really feels like we're at the beginning of a huge shift in how software is developed. But with any new tech, there are always challenges.
Absolutely. One of the biggest is making sure these AI systems are used ethically and responsibly.
Right, it's not enough to just build powerful tools. We need to make sure they're used for good.
Exactly. As we rely more and more on AI, we need to be careful that we're not creating systems that are biased or make harmful decisions.
We need to think about transparency, accountability, and ethics every step of the way.
Totally agree. It's not just a technical issue, it's a societal one. We need to have open conversations about the impact of AI and make sure its development is guided by strong ethical principles.
Well said. It's not just about the technology itself. It's about how we choose to use it. We all need to be part of shaping the future of AI. Welcome back. So, we've been talking about all these amazing things MetaGPT can do, but it makes you wonder, what does this mean for the future of, well, work?
Right. Like what happens to jobs when AI can build software? That's a big question.
Some people are worried AI will take over all the jobs, leaving humans with nothing to do.
Yeah, that's definitely a concern. But others think AI will actually free us up to focus on more interesting creative work.
I guess the truth is probably somewhere in between.
Probably. But it's clear that we'll need to adapt.
Yeah, like what skills will we need in this AI-powered world?
Well, we're already seeing a demand for people who understand AI, data science, all that.
So the tech skills are important, but what about, like, the human stuff?
Oh, absolutely. Things like critical thinking, creativity, problem solving, working with AI, all of those will be super valuable.
Because those are the things AI can't do, at least not yet.
Exactly. And it's not just individual skills. Whole companies will need to adapt too.
Right, we talked about how MetaGPT could change software development, but what about other parts of a business? Like marketing, finance, even HR?
Totally. Imagine using MetaGPT to create really targeted marketing campaigns or to analyze financial data.
Or streamline hiring.
Exactly. The possibilities are pretty much endless.
It feels like AI has the potential to change how businesses work at every level.
It definitely does. And the key is to think about how we can use AI to make us better, not replace us altogether.
Which brings us back to innovation. How does something like MetaGPT change how we create new things?
Well, for one, it could speed things up a lot. Imagine being able to test out ideas and build prototypes way faster.
It's like having a super-powered R&D team that never sleeps.
Exactly. And if we don't have to spend all our time on the technical stuff, we can focus more on the creative side.
I love that. Like, the limits of innovation become our own imaginations, not what we can technically do.
Yeah, and that goes back to the question I asked you earlier. What's your dream software project?
Good question. I think mine would be something that helps people learn new things, but makes it fun and engaging, like a game almost.
That's a great idea. And it's the kind of thing that MetaGPT could help build.
It's exciting to think about all the possibilities.
It really is. And as amazing as MetaGPT is, we have to remember that it's just a tool. The real power is in how we use it.
Well said. So as we wrap up our deep dive into MetaGPT, what's the one thing you want listeners to take away from all this?
I think it's this. We're entering a really exciting time where AI is changing the world around us. And while that can be a bit scary, it's also full of incredible opportunities. It's up to all of us to learn, adapt, and shape this future in a way that benefits everyone.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's been fascinating exploring this with you.
Likewise, it's been a great discussion.
And to everyone listening, thanks for joining us on this journey into the world of AI-powered software development. We hope you found it as thought-provoking as we did.